Hi, everybody. I'm here with Haley Ennes, and we're going to take a quick look at the new job playbook in poetry together. And Haley's then going to give me some comments. So, Haley, thanks for your time. Do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Adam. My name is Haley Ennes. I'm a senior program manager of recruitment enablement at Sprout Social, a tech company. I'm really excited to see the tool today.
Perfect. Thank you. And as somebody looking after recruitment enablement, there's nobody more perfect to take a look at this with me. So, what I was showing when I was demoing poetry for people up until now has been like, I'm a recruiter, maybe I'm new into the team, and I don't know anything about a particular job that I've been asked to hire for. So I would go into the research area, create research. I would go and find out, all about the job, what's the responsibilities, what job titles mean the same, what are the interview questions I could use. And then I would go down here and build out a Boolean string for that particular job as well. And then I would go into the social media outreach area, and I would go and see if there's any good outreach messaging for those types of people. And if not, I would go and create something. And every time I'm doing this demo with people, I'm creating something new here, and then something new here, and then something new here. And it became really clear that I was filling in the same form like 8 times to get 8 assets. And so we don't want that to happen. What we really want is that people can build them all at once if they want. So we created this playbook functionality. So I would go into playbooks, and I would search the playbooks and see if what I need is already there. And if it's not, I'll click create. So I'm going to create a playbook for it's a legal secretary role. It's based full-time on site in New York City. So I select create, select the assets I require, which I'm going to select all of them. Then I click save, build playbook. Here's the Boolean string. Here's the brand advert. Here's the candidate interview. Here's the candidate offer. Here's a crib sheet. Here's email copy. It's building out 16 assets for that particular job. And if all I've done is select legal secretary, full-time on site, New York City, it's going to build out assets, which are a good starter. There's some work I'll need to do on each of them to make them perfect. But if I've already gone into the marketing area, or the admins, recruitment enablement people, or recruitment marketing people, whoever have gone into the marketing area, have made use of the templates in here, I've made use of the content prompts area in here, then these assets are going to be, despite the fact that nobody else has already built them, these assets are going to be very, very close to what I need. And there's not a huge amount of tweaking I'm going to have to do, because they're going to be written in the right tone of voice. They're going to be written with the right context for the industry that we're in. The image is just building an image here. So this is a legal secretary based in New York City. So, I mean, that could be anywhere, to be fair, rather than New York City. So I might redo that one if it's not right. But what it's done is it's obviously put our branding onto there. It would put your branding, any other company's branding onto there. It's also made use of the right Pantone for our brand within the actual advert itself. So it's the right types of colors and all that kind of thing. And there's a lot of templating I can do over in the marketing admin area. So I can do fixed copy, like things like for a job advert, what's the intro, what's the outro, what's the word count, and all that type of thing. And then within the contents prompts area, we've got these company prompts, which are quite new, like what does your company make, or what does it do? What's its core values and principles? What's the tone of voice? What types of phrases do you want to include it in here? And by going through this process, what that's meant is that, the assets are much closer to right first time for the individuals. Now, the other big thing that this has helped us to do is it overcome the challenge around empty workspace syndrome, which is you've set up your workspace, there's nothing in there. What the admins can do is they can go and create like job playbooks for all of the main jobs, the top 20 main jobs that they recruit for in an hour, probably. So it's a much, much faster job to go from being the blank canvas workspace to having lots of things in here that recruiters can, easily make use of quickly.
Yeah.
So, Haley, love to know what you think.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. Excuse me, it actually took me back to when I was a recruiter at Sprout. I was primarily a sales and success recruiter, and our legal team was expanding. So, a perfect example that you brought up there. Well, I don't know anything about legal jargon or what the profile should look like. So, I had a role alignment meeting with the hiring manager, and that was certainly helpful, but it felt so daunting. And I think a lot of recruiters can relate to that. We didn't have any information. Our legal team, I think there were 2 people at the time, had been there since really the start of Sprout. And so there weren't any resources, and I didn't really know where to begin. And I remember hopping on that first recruiter screen was one of the scariest moments in my recruiter life. And so having something like that would have been so incredibly helpful. And I think a lot of recruiters, especially in house, are usually aligned to one department or another or one kind of function. And in the last few years, with so many layoffs happening and just resources having to be reallocated, I know that that's popping up more often than not. Even for our own recruiters, we have a team of tech recruiters who work on our tech roles, a team of recruiters who work on our revenue and operations roles. And we've actually had to ask some of those recruiters to swap and help out. Well, they don't know anything about that other function. And so I think this would save a tremendous amount of time and just that initial stress of having to take on a totally new profile.
I mean, the obvious one is like going from tech to non-tech. Those two things are like completely separate within a corporate recruiting team normally. And so, yeah, the other thing I'm interested to know is like to create all of those assets, which of the following things do you think is more likely? A recruiter's working on a new job they haven't done anything with before. They spend a lot of time building out all those things, or they skip it and they do the best job they can, having skipped building all of that. Which of those happens most, do you think?
Well, the hope is that they wouldn't skip it, but I'm sure that happens, especially when we are working against time to hire, time to fill, certain metrics that our recruiters need to hit. And even if they're not skipping, let's say that they're trying to get some of these resources from others on the team, who knows who has the most accurate information? I think we work a lot in our Google Drive, which has worked out for us, but there's a lot of outdated things in there, and who's responsible for updating that? And people create new resources, and the titles aren't, the titles of the resources aren't consistent. So it gets messy very quickly. And so for somebody taking on a new role and trying to gather a lot of these resources to be able to recruit successfully, it can be really hard. And so I think something like this, a tool like this, ensures that we're creating that all of our candidates are experiencing a similar process, which I think just makes the process better, makes our recruiters better at their jobs, and I think allows them to maybe lean into more of like that talent advisor role as opposed to like an order taker as well. Having that confidence to be able to have something laid out for them and have a better understanding of the profile that they're working on, the resources that can help them push the right messaging out on maybe their LinkedIn profile or in their sourcing messaging. I think this would just help everyone have a more consistent experience across the candidate experience.
That's a great point about helping recruiters to be talent advisors, because when it's automatically building out, here's a good EVP messaging for that particular job relating to our company, and here's some of the objections that you might get for that particular job relating to our company and how you might overcome them. I mean, turning up for the hiring manager, alignment meeting, the recruiter could be pretty much better informed than the hiring manager around what's going to happen here, and so the advisor role is one that's much more attainable, I think.
Absolutely, and what you just mentioned about EVP, the things we might want to stress are so different from role to role. The personas are going to be different, and so while somebody might be one of our best, let's say, sales recruiters, that doesn't mean that they're going to know exactly what they need to hit on if they're hiring for the product team or for a software engineer. And so there's a learning curve there. And having these resources readily available, I think, will help them ramp up much more quickly.
It looks like the sun is shining in Chicago. It's probably still cold, though. It's the end of February.
Oh yeah, it's very cold. We had some crazy weather this week. 2 days ago, it was in the 70s, and today, I think it might be just at 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's wild.
Ailey, thank you very much for joining me today. Great to see you, and I really appreciate your comments.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Adam.